Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? Welcome to another episode of the Garage Gang podcast. With me, as always, I got Mr. Ken Knutson. On my right, on my other far right, I got Mr. Aaron Gutierrez. We have a very special guest with us today, and that is Jordan Rager. What's going on, Jordan? How are you, man?
Hey guys, how you doing?
What's up, bud? Thanks for joining us, bro.
Welcome to the
Yeah,
pod.
man. Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah.
How are things going for you today, brother?
They're good, man. I'm finding out my birthday's actually this month. I'm finding out the older I get, the less athletic I get. I just wake up in pain for some reason. Like I don't even have to do anything, and I'll just wake up and be like, "Damn, my back hurts." Like I don't know what's going on.
Well, we're a couple years ahead of you. We're all 29 and 30 respectively, and we've been filling that for a few years now, man. So
It only gets worse from here.
Yeah.
We can promise you.
Yeah, especially when you have some mileage
Man,
under your carriage. You know what I mean?
We're not gonna be the ones to blow smoke. It's gonna get worse.
Yeah, dude.
You know, it's funny. It started the day after I turned 25.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody said 25 is the number where everything starts to change. And I swear to God, the day after my 25th birthday was the worst hangover I've ever had in my life.
Oh, bro.
And ever since then, it's like I'll have this is my second beer of the night, and I'll have two of those and feel horrible tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know. I don't get it. But
now they're like two-day hangovers basically.
Yeah.
Until like you feel 100%. They're like, it takes a couple days. It's gonna be progressive. I feel like.
Speaking of beers, let me
Crack open.
Oh,
we got a nice, beautiful. I think this one is called the Big Homie. It's from our sponsor at Man Rock Brew.
There it is.
Go check them out. They just opened up now that we're allowed to live back over here in California. We go check
that's
them
right.
out.
Congratulations, by the way.
Now that we can go grab beers.
No.
Except the Jocko's, they're so close.
Man,
But yeah, we like to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, man. But
Man Rock Brew.
so where are you located these days, man?
Man, I've been in Nashville for 7 years. I moved to Tennessee when I was 19 years old and never looked back, man. I currently live in suburban Nashville, a little town called Mount Juliet, and it's been great, man. It's 2020 was a weird year for a lot of reasons, but from a personal standpoint, I got to make some pretty big strides in my life. I moved into a house. I got a dog.
There you go.
Life is good, man. Just just waiting for kind of the world to go back to normal so I can get back to working.
Right.
How do people in Nashville feel about that picture behind you?
Oh, dude, like every other person you meet in Nashville is from Georgia, so I fit right in.
Oh, that's
there you
perfect.
go.
Well,
there's more Georgia fans than there are Tennessee fans.
I think
Well,
they're kind
especially-
of venturing away from the volunteers,
Yeah, especially with recent years and now with the McDonald's bags, they're not looking too good.
Yeah.
recruiting violations. So
Yeah,
it's,
I got a few friends that are Vols fans, but none of them are real proud to talk about it right now.
I bet.
yeah, I wouldn't be.
Okay, so growing up, you in Loganville, correct?
Loganville, that's right.
All right, just tell us what it was like growing up over there.
Boring.
Yeah.
It was. I'm from it's a town that if you looked at it on a map, it's like right smack dab in the middle of Athens and Atlanta. Loganville's right there in the middle. So it was a small town that was always growing. But even though it was always growing, there still felt like there was never anything to do. And I always tell people my hometown is the kind of town that people write country songs about,
Yep.
It's nothing but 2 lanes and county roads and dirt roads and all that kind of stuff. Everybody knows everybody, you know everybody by what they drive and, by the reputation they hold. And it was a great place to live, but it was just one of those things where I knew I was going to eventually leave it and, hopefully land in Tennessee and chase some crazy dreams. And thankful that I got to do that.
You definitely can't, chase your dreams or follow your dreams in a small town. You gotta spread those wings.
Absolutely. But for me, it was always, this is the place where I got my start. And I love my hometown, and I'm always grateful to my hometown for that. But I always knew that I was going to, like I said, I was going to leave it and I was going to go on to a better place and do better things.
You're going to outgrow it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what's the population over there at Loganville? Like,
Oh, it's grown a lot since I moved away. I think when I lived there, it was in the low thousands.
okay.
Wow.
And so it was like on the bigger side of a small town. It wasn't one of those places where it was like, we only have one stoplight. Like, we had stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just like all chain restaurants, and
We're very similar with our
exactly.
towns.
Like we growing up, it was like 10,000 here in Napomo, 8 to 10,000. Now it's about 16,000. We're on the central coast of California. Kind of smack dab in between San Francisco and Los Angeles. So yeah, we definitely can relate on that for sure.
Everything you were saying, I'm like,
Yeah,
you're pretty much explaining Napomo to us right now.
Totally, man.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so at a young age, growing up in Georgia, I know football is a big thing over there. Did you ever play football or any other sports for that matter?
I didn't play football. I was always a smaller guy. So I guess if I was going to play football, I would have been a kicker, but I didn't really have much of a leg on me. I did play baseball until I was 16, and I'm a big sports guy. I've always been into sports. I watch everything. Baseball, football, basketball, hockey, college, pro, any of it. I'm a fan. I was really in a bad way last year when like every sport canceled, and then we were just kind of sitting there waiting for something to watch.
We were watching Korean baseball.
After we all got done with Tiger King, we all kind of ran out of things to watch for a while. So it was,
When ESPN puts basically the Ocho on like their main ESPN station, ESPN1, you got cherry pit spinning, and then you cornhole. You got it was
rock paper scissors,
spike
dodgeball.
Ball. Yeah, it was like I was like, damn.
The Korean baseball got me.
Oh, I'd wake up in the morning and Korean baseball would be on the Korean Baseball League, which I watched a little bit of. I ain't gonna lie.
There's just a bunch of teddy bears in the stands.
Yeah.
Oh,
didn't they get in trouble for that? Something like that?
Probably.
Oh no,
You're not allowed to think in Korea.
They put sex dolls in the stands. That's what they did.
That'll do it.
Oh my god, yeah. They got in trouble for that.
What'd you play in baseball?
I was second base.
Second baseman.
Yeah. I was the guy that was like quick. I could get around, but I didn't have the greatest arm.
Right.
So I could just make like the shortest throw in baseball from second base to first base.
That's all right.
And I mean, I was never like the world's greatest hitter or anything, but I lived and died by ground balls that like should have been base hits. Like that was my thing. Was like anything that gets hit in my direction, in my general direction, I'm gonna go get.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah, these guys are big time baseball players. They played their whole life. I never played. I tried to sign up like once or twice, and then I went out and completely embarrassed myself in a softball league.
No, you did pretty good by the end of that season, man.
I did not think I did very good.
Not fielding at least.
Yeah.
So,
But what men's softball league is just for soft pitch, slow pitch softball. It's just for funs and drinking beer anyway with the boys. So you did that right, I'm sure.
I did.
Okay.
we see the Georgia background behind you. What are some of your other favorite sports teams?
Man, my favorite sports team is the Atlanta Braves. Like I said, I'm a huge baseball fan. I have been for my entire life. And that is the one team that when they win one day, God willing it happens, I'll cry. 100%.
Oh, absolutely.
Got to beat the Dodgers, brother.
We're all Dodger fans.
It's funny. I was going to ask y'all, like, okay, so Central California, you're not San Francisco, you're not LA. Who do you guys root for?
I'm a Giants fan.
Fans.
I'm a Giants fan. They're Dodger fans.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's kind
So
of a split.
We got our Justin Turner bobblehead right here.
Right.
That's all right. But yeah, we I will say though, other than the Padres, I mean the Braves, man, you guys got a squad, and you guys went out and picked up. Who'd you picked up? Charlie Morton, I believe.
Yeah.
We got Charlie Morton so far. I think we signed Drew Smiley. We signed the Panda, Pablo Sandoval.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
See, that's one of those, like, I feel like you guys were one solid pitcher. Well, maybe one older pitcher away to kind of – because you had a bunch of really good young arms. And I think if you guys get someone like Morton in there who's done all the big-time games and he is a big-time pitcher, I think it's going to help you guys a lot. I think it's going to help their mentality a lot.
Didn't he bring in Felix Hernandez and he, like, sat out the season or something? That was who you brought up to.
Yeah, I think we signed Felix beginning of last year,
Yeah,
and then
and then
when
COVID.
COVID hit, he was one of the guys that opted out of the season.
Yep.
I was stoked when we signed Morton. Because I thought the same way you did. I was like, we have a lot of great young arms, but the thing we're missing is like a veteran pitcher.
Yep.
So, I think there's still, as the team's configured right now in the off season, we're still a couple of moves away from being like as good as we were last year.
Yeah.
But I think if we're able to do them, then we're going to be right there with LA and with San Diego this coming season.
Yeah,
Right.
National League's going to be a dogfight, that's for sure.
Oh,
Hey,
absolutely.
Even the Cardinals.
The
'Cause,
Cardinals with Arenado.
went and picked
Dude.
up Arenado right now.
You got Cardinals, Cubs, Braves, Padres.
The Cubbies, I'm not sure about the Cubs.
Yeah.
But
They might trade
they got
Bryant.
talent, but
Yeah.
we'll see. But for sure the Cardinals. I never want to play the Cardinals being a Dodger fan in the postseason because they just always beat
Oh,
us.
dude, same. Have you seen any of the Braves Cardinals series? They
Yeah.
never work out for us.
It's
Yeah.
so bad.
I end up sad every time.
Well,
And
yeah.
now they have the best third baseman in baseball.
Right.
So
And Goldschmidt's a stud first baseman. I mean, they got a great lineup now. So
the Cardinals are going to be a problem all year this year, and I'm not looking forward to it.
Yeah. But mad respect to the Braves, though. That's a team that I literally one of the first teams I ever remember because of Chipper Jones and Glavine Smoltz Maddox. That's actually the first World Series we all basically remember is Yankees Braves. So
Yep.
I mean,
I had one of my coworkers actually. He pitched for the Braves for a small stint. His name's Mike Gray, and he was a lefty. Was he a lefty? But he had a video. He threw a bullpen next to Tom Glavine. He's like, "Look, man, look, there's me. There's Tom Glavine." I was like, "Dude, that's so awesome."
dope.
He went on to play for the Diamondbacks when they won the World Series. So
cool.
that's dope.
yeah, it was pretty cool.
It's funny
That's awesome.
because we had last week we had our good friend that we went to high school with, Jeff McNeil. He's the second baseman for the Mets.
Yeah.
Mets, that's right.
Yeah.
He's a pesky ass hitter, dude. I hate when we play him.
He sprays the field, man.
And so
he sprays it.
He's one of our really good friends, and so we had him on, and he was talking about it, and we were all talking about you guys, or the Braves, I should say, and he was like, "Yeah, they're gonna be really good. You guys added a lot. So do the Nationals too."
Yeah.
One of my favorite stories from the last couple of years in baseball. Brian Snicker, the manager of the Braves, got to be a part of the All-Star team squad a couple of years ago. I guess 2019, the last time we had an All-Star game, and Jeff McNeil made that team.
Yeah.
And Snicker walked up to McNeil at some point in the weekend and grabbed him by the shoulders and shook him and said, "Who the hell are you, and why can't we get you out?" And it's true. Like, the guy doesn't do anything but get hits.
Yeah.
He's just a single and doubles machine.
Absolutely, and
Solid.
then he's a total utility player. He plays every
Yeah, oh,
position.
yeah.
So yeah,
They actually
He's the
during
kind
that
of
all.
guy, like, if he played for my team, he'd be my favorite player.
Absolutely.
But since he
100%.
plays for the Mets, I can't stand it.
How
Hey,
you
that's
feel-
understandable, man.
How you feel about Jeff is how I feel about Kike Hernandez
Oh boy, that's
as
my
a
boy.
Giants fan.
I love Kike.
Yeah.
Kike hurt us in the playoffs this year, man. He had that one home run in, I think, game 5 or 6
Yeah.
that
Yep.
kind of started the rally for LA.
I gave it up. I was like, I was so pissed at my team once you guys took that commanding 3-1 lead. I was like, this is over. It doesn't look like it. And yeah, by the grace of God, we're here, man.
Move your bets on defense.
That's the difference between being a Dodger fan and being a Braves fan. The Braves go up 3-1. You guys don't feel good about your chances. Braves fans, when they go up 3-1,
Yeah.
are waiting for something to go wrong.
Yeah.
And boy, did it.
Yep.
Oh man, that's awesome.
God.
Good stuff.
Okay, so that's your sports background. I want to start getting into, when did you start realizing like that you love music? When did you realize that this is something that you really were into?
I mean, I guess I always was into it. My dad tells a story about I was really young in like my car seat and just kind of beeping along to whatever was on the radio. And I was singing along with the melody of the song. I'm sure I didn't know the words yet, but I was just kind of like a kid does, just like singing along with the radio. And my dad claims that even back then he knew that I had like something in me because he looked at my mom and said like, he's on key or at least close to it.
He's
Like,
got rhythm.
yeah, like he's not terrible at
Yeah.
even this age. Like let's watch that. That's what my dad said. And so I always thought music would be a really cool thing to do, but I always considered it a dream job that was like way too far fetched to eventually reach. I didn't know how to get there.
For sure.
It's not like it's something you can go to school for or you kind of learn how to do. You have to be born with some sort of, natural talent to do it for a living. And so fast forward to, I guess I was 11 or 12. My dad's a pastor and has been since I was like 9 years old. And so my dad just kind of looked at me one day and was like, would you want to sing a song at church? And I was like, sure. Don't know what that means or what that looks like, but why not, And that kind of started the whole thing. I realized doing that at 11 how much I enjoyed it. And I kind of sat on it for a couple more years, and I had this old beater guitar at my parents' house that I would kind of play around on every now and then, but I wasn't very good, and it was kind of a cruddy guitar anyway, to be honest with you. So it's not like it sounded good, anyway.
For sure.
It wasn't something you could learn on. And so my dad saw that. He bought another kind of beater guitar, but a better beater from a pawn shop in my hometown. And he just handed it to me, and he said, like, I've watched you kind of do this, try to do this on your own with what you have. He's like, here's me helping you. Here's a learning guitar. And I was like, cool. And then from that point, man, I was off and running. I don't think I put the guitar down for 5 or 6 straight years. I was just wanting to learn every one of my favorite songs. I was wanting to write my songs and new songs and all that. And I guess I was like 17 when I decided, like, full blown, like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to play music for a living. To hell with everything else, and it's just been a snowball effect since, man. I like I said, I started writing songs, and I really fell in love with that part of creating music, and that was the thing that eventually led me to moving to Nashville.
Okay. So that's pretty awesome, though, to have the support of your dad, like, right away, just being like, hey, son, I see that you're doing it. Like, here you go. What did that mean to you to know that, like, whatever you did, your dad had your back?
Oh, dude, my parents are awesome. I wouldn't be where I am today without them. They could have very easily looked at me when I said, hey, I want to play music for the rest of my life for a living. They could have very easily looked at me and said, go to your room and go do your homework. And you're going to go to college, and you're going to get a real job, and you're going to make money and all that. They never did. Dad recognized the passion that I had at a very young age and just kind of fanned that fire. And my mom was the one that drove me to my shows when I was too young to drive myself. And then when I did get old enough to drive myself to shows, my mom still came to every show that she could in Georgia. And my dad would run sound for me at most of those bar gigs. So Preacher Man was running sound at the bar gigs while his son was on stage playing the songs.
Man, it was a real family affair, man. That's awesome,
dude,
man.
It was great. And like I said, man, I recently celebrated 7 years in Nashville. January 19th was the start of my 7th year. I wouldn't have 7 years in Nashville if it wasn't for my folks being as supportive as they were.
Right. Do you have any siblings?
2 younger brothers.
Are they musically inclined?
They are. One of them is a musician that he's more in like the Christian music world. He works at a church in South Carolina. And then my younger brother is the coolest of the 3 of us, like hands down. It's not even close. I have no problem telling you guys that. I'd say that to anybody. My 18-year-old brother wants to be in sports broadcasting, and he wants to be like Joe Buck. Like, he wants to call the World Series.
That's
and
super cool.
That's everyone's dream.
Yeah.
Like, at 18 years old, he's like, I'm going to call the World Series one day. I'm like,
there it is.
Go, like,
get it.
Go you, dude. Like, hell yeah.
That's awesome.
Like, that's awesome. So he's working on some summer leagues right now, just kind of broadcasting like Facebook Lives or whatever. But he's gonna, go to school for it. And you guys will be interviewing my 18-year-old brother before you interview me again, because he'll be like doing a bunch of cool stuff one day.
Oh, we can put that. We can put that together. For
Yeah,
sure, man.
I'm
Cool.
down.
Hell yeah, man. How's he sound on that? Does he have the announcer voice, the commentary voice, like, or how you know that that's their job? They're like,
yeah, oh yeah, he's got it.
He's fluid.
He's got his voice. He's got his thing. He's got his his kind of personality behind the microphone and everything.
Oh, that's cool.
He's much more well spoken than I am, because my southern ass sounds half the words that come out of my mouth you can't understand. He's like real clean spoken, and like I'm just like, how did you come out of the same set of parents that I did? Like, I sound like a hick. You sound like the president, you know?
Hey, you're a country singer.
Yeah,
You're
it's
supposed
all right.
to.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
true.
You know?
That's all right.
Yeah, that's totally cool. Because after the dream of the NFL or like pro sports for us all faded, it was like, damn, being on ESPN every night would be so cool.
Yeah.
And
Oh, absolutely.
Well, it's funny
Oh, yeah.
because
I mean, for the first 16 years of my life, I thought I was going to play second base for the Atlanta Braves.
absolutely.
Now I'm happy if I get to sing the national anthem for the Atlanta Braves.
Right.
So,
See,
That's
that's a goal.
huge.
That's a goal right there.
swig a beer for the working man.
Well, because growing up, I mean, me and Kenny have been best friends for a long time now, and we always have talked like, man, one day let's just start a radio show. Let's start something and do it. And finally, last year, we're just coming up on a year now. Like January 22nd, I think, was our
COVID was 22nd.
22nd. Yeah, so January 22nd,
yeah.
we started this last year, and and we've been able to talk to some people that I've never thought we would be able to talk to. You know what I mean? And it's I'm getting to do it with my best friends. So slowly, like I see what you're talking about, getting to live out the dream and just pursue it, and then if it takes off, it takes off.
You know, it's funny, man. I love that. I love the fact that you guys were just like, man, this sounds like fun. Let's just do this, and
Yeah.
like I hope it works. Like that's what we all aspire to do. I moved to Tennessee with a hope and a prayer and a crazy dream, and I've done just well enough to stick to it for 7 years. You guys are best friends that want to have a radio show or a podcast or whatever. My favorite thing about like the entertainment world these days is with technology, you can just do it. Like, hey, we have the passion for it, just do it. I wish more people were like that.
Well, back in the day, I mean, honestly, we're being able to interview you right now, and you're in Tennessee. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how awesome is that? We're able to have a live conversation with each other, and so Zoom and all that, we were forced into Zoom really because of COVID. We were just doing
Exactly.
We were just doing stuff in our garage, and then we were like, you know what? Let's go on Zoom when COVID hit, because we were scared of it at first, like everyone else. We were kind of like, all right, well, let's not get together for a little bit, and let's just do Zoom interviews. And that's when we got our buddy Jeff on, and it kind of just
blossomed from there.
It honestly kind of fast forwarded our progression into the interview portion, because we were just doing us three, just doing segments and talking about sports. Well, guess what? We had to alter an Audible because there's no more sports,
Right.
and there's nothing to talk about, and so we had to go into the realm of just interviews, man, and finding people. And like we said, dude, 2020 has been a tough year. It has been hard for everyone, and physically, emotionally, family wise. But it actually helped us out as a podcast, because
For sure.
kind of found out where our niche was, man.
Yeah.
And like you don't have to, but if you get the chance, go to our Facebook page, The Garage Gang, and you can see just like our progression, man. Our videos are just from like, it's crazy, just the progression. Every few episodes, there's like something new. You know what I mean? And that's I know that, being in the music business. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah, well, I mean, man, the comparison for the music industry right now, I guess, would be like social media and like TikTok and Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that. It's like, I can't go out and play shows the traditional way like I was used to, so I had to adjust on the fly really quickly and learn how to, kind of introduce myself to new people over the internet.
Right.
And so that made me go, what do I want people to know in 60 seconds? Like if it was a TikTok thing, it's like, what do I want people to know about me in 60 seconds? What kind of songs do I want them to hear from me in 60 seconds? And it's like you said, it's kind of the same thing. It's the difference between, oh, well, we've been given this hurdle, so I don't know if it's worth doing.
Yeah.
And forget that. This is what we want to do. Let's just adjust to what, the hand that we've been dealt, and we'll make it work. And
Right.
that's kind of what we're all doing right now.
Absolutely. And I will say that I found you on TikTok. And I was like, dude, who is this Jordan Rager guy, man? This guy's freaking legit.
That makes me feel so good, because I'll be totally honest with you. I was one of those people that when I first got on TikTok, and I'll tell you, it was the first day of quarantine. It was March 14th, 2020 was the day that I downloaded TikTok, the app. and I did it so reluctantly. I was like, "This is stupid. It's a stupid app.
Ah,
Stupid people
that's
on
funny.
it with some stupid ass dances. I don't want anything to do with this." And here I am,
man.
almost a year later, and I have no problem admitting to you, I'm full blown addicted to it. I love doing them, and it's a great way to get my songs out to the world, and that's kind of the whole point.
Yeah,
100%.
I think it was one of the videos you just did a few covers, and I'm like, dang, who is this guy? So I went on Apple and I looked you up, and saw it. You had some good songs. I was like, man, this guy's awesome. I like it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Dude, an honest.
It started as me being an idiot.
Yeah.
I just shared like dumb videos that I thought were funny, and then it turned into I could use this for as a platform for my music. And so I started doing, like you said, like cover songs of I did a thing for a while on TikTok where I was just like, I heard this random old country song that everybody forgot about, so I'll just do that on there.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I remember that.
And it kind of took off a little bit. Excuse me. And then from there, I just kind of was like, all right, well, if they like that, maybe they'll like one of my songs. And so I started kind of sprinkling my stuff in there every now and then. And it's really I'm not anywhere close to where some of the numbers are on TikTok, but I mean, the fact that you found me on there and there are people out there finding out about me.
You have impressive numbers.
That's the way. That's legit, dude.
That's the beauty about the
That's
technology
legit.
and apps these days. Like you said, man, it just takes that one person or that one thing you do, that one crazy thing that you think is not going to be nothing, to catch on to the masses.
Right.
And next thing you know, you're Dogface 420, playing Dreams and riding your longboard, and now you own a cool truck and a lifetime supply of cran raspberry.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of cool.
That dude is like, he's got a home now.
Yeah.
He's
set.
living the life.
it takes.
All just for posting a video of him drinking some cranberry juice.
I was
riding
going to say, that man got famous for vibing.
Yeah.
Vibing,
100%.
man.
Enjoying life.
I think it was during a time when everyone needed that. Everyone was like,
Oh,
dude,
absolutely.
what this guy is doing, we all wish we could do right now. Out just longboarding, chilling. You know what I mean? Like it was a perfect.
It was
time
just
to
a
do it.
picture of freedom.
Yeah.
He was just,
Right.
not a worry, going on in his life. Although
I don't know about y'all, but at the time it felt like everybody was just bitching.
yeah, for
the
sure.
world and what was going on is right or wrong, justified or not, it just felt like everybody was just kind of in a dark place. And then here comes this dude, like you said, just longboarding down with a bottle of cranberry juice, just enjoying life. It's like everybody was just like, oh, that's what we're supposed to be doing.
So
Right.
refreshing.
Just vibing to Fleetwood Mac, man.
Yeah.
It's like not the most masculine song, and he just does. It's just
I also got to say,
awesome.
I think I watched a thing where Fleetwood Mac said that video got them so much money
Yeah,
because everyone went and downloaded that song after he played it.
Oh yeah, that song lived rent free in my head for a month after that video.
100%.
well, it made their album or that song number one on the Billboard charts again, and I'm like, or number 1 or 3. I forgot which one it was, but that's dude, like that's what I was saying, man. The unexpected things, especially in technology and apps these days. Just got to catch on, hit the right note,
Speaking of unexpected things, I was kind of reading. You had a mentor, kind of growing up, Barry Williams. Like how was that? How did that come about? What has he done for you in your career so far?
Man, okay, so this is a crazy story. I'll try to keep it short because it can get kind of long, and I have a tendency to ramble. So the long short of it is, there's a music venue in my hometown that did like a house band kind of thing every Thursday night. This music venue is run by an older gentleman that put a newspaper clipping in the local paper. My grandparents are the ones that happened to see it randomly one day, and they just gave it to me and were like, hey, this looks like fun. This might be something that you would. It's music in our hometown, which is there's few and far between at the time. So they were like, just give this a shot. Maybe this will be cool. And I was like, all right, fine. So I show up one night and I end up playing. I would sit in with that house band every night for 2 or 3 years. Just that's kind of how I learned how to play guitar, because I never knew what we were going to play. They didn't know what they were going to play. It was literally just a bunch of old dudes who liked playing music, sitting on the same stage, and then eventually one of them would get up, walk to the microphone, and then play a song. And then everybody on stage would just kind of play along with it and follow the guy that was singing. It was a really cool vibe. So anyway, I meet one of the guitar players who unfortunately is not with us anymore, but his name was Gary. Gary introduced me to Barry. And Barry, I literally owe everything that I have to Barry Williams. I wouldn't be in Nashville without Barry Williams. I wouldn't be where I am in music without Barry Williams. I wouldn't have the connections that I have in Nashville without Barry Williams. I wouldn't have played the tours that I've played without Barry Williams. The guy basically saw something in a 16-year-old kid that he hadn't seen in a long time and said, I'm going to fan that fire. Kind of the same thing as my dad, like I was talking about earlier. Like Barry recognized a passion in a kid in a small town and just said, like, there's something there. For whatever reason, I don't know what it was, but for whatever reason, he just saw something and was like, I think that could be something. And like I said, man, it was one of the greatest blessings that I've been presented in my life, because working with Barry and working with the people that he connected me with eventually landed me in Nashville, where I'm going to spend the rest of my life.
That's awesome.
So was he one of the main people that convinced you to go on The Voice?
No, actually, I hadn't met Barry by that time. So The Voice is another funny story. My mom signed me up for that completely without me knowing.
Oh, wow.
So
There's her fanning that fire, buddy.
dude, I'm telling you. So I was 17 when I did The Voice. So I was playing shows all over the Southeast at the time, and a lot of people were walking up to me and my parents and my family and friends just being like, hey, Jordan's really good. He should go on The Voice. And I, to be honest with you, had no idea what it was. I didn't watch the first season. I was on season 2. I didn't watch the first season. I knew kind of what it was, but I was not really interested in doing like a reality singing show, to be totally honest with you. That just wasn't something that I was interested in doing. And my mom just Googled how to be on The Voice just to see what would come up.
Uh-huh.
And she found an application on the, the website or whatever. Long story short, she signs me up for it. They end up picking my audition out of thin air or my application out of thin air. And it turns out they had found me on YouTube previously.
Yeah.
And they wanted to reach out to me but couldn't find a contact information. So when they got my mom's application, they sent her an email back and said, hey, we actually found Jordan's YouTube page. Would he want to come in and do a private audition? And so I went to this random place in Atlanta, Georgia, September of 2017, and I played I played 2.5 songs. And when I say I played 2.5 songs, I played 2 songs, and halfway through the third one, I got this from the producer. I got the thank you very much. We've heard enough.
Yeah.
And
That's
to a
nerve-wracking.
17-year-old kid, I thought that meant I sucked.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'll go home and practice some more, and you guys will maybe hear from me in a couple of years. That's what I thought. Fast forward another couple of weeks, and I get a phone call from somebody from Mark Burnett Productions that says, we'd like to fly you out to LA to do another round of producer auditions. I made it through that round, and the next thing was getting on The Voice. So it was such a random happenstance of, hey, maybe this works, which I feel like is kind of the way that I've been going through my whole career at this point anyway. Is just throw something at the wall and maybe it sticks.
Yeah.
You know?
Most of the people we've talked to that are in your industry, they kind of say the same thing. You just kind of got to take the chance and just be like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And then it just works out. If it's meant to be, it'll work out.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things I've ever heard somebody say, and I don't remember who said it, but I heard somebody say one time, life is a Hail Mary.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a bunch of chances to throw the ball as far as you can and see if somebody catches it,
100.
Yep.
I loved that. And that's kind of how I look at everything that I do with my career, with my life. It's just kind of if I can't cuss, then you guys can cut this out. But
No, you can
like,
cuss.
No,
my thought
be
process
you,
is
man.
kinda like,
Cuss away, man.
okay, cool. My thought process is kind of like, fuck it,
Yeah.
give it a try.
Yep.
You know, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. If it doesn't, I'm the wiser, and I can try something else the next time.
Right.
I've never
100%.
looked at failure as failure unless you actually walk away from something.
Right. If you
For
didn't
me,
learn anything.
Failure is you learn how to not do something the next time.
Right.
And that was kind of the voice for me, was just kind of like, I'm 17 years old. I've got my entire life ahead of me. I'm just getting started on this music journey. Why the hell not? I'll give it a shot.
Well, and it's like there's no better platform or stage to show yourself than that.
Yeah.
And if it does work out, then that's already a jump in your career that you wouldn't have had if you just stayed home and played at the local bars and stuff.
And you know what they say, man.
Yeah, and like I said, I came from I love my hometown, but it was a small town. It was a town where people are born, they go to school, they get a job, they have kids, they get married, sometimes in that order, sometimes in another order,
Yeah.
and they die, and so on and so forth. That sounded like a living hell to me. So when I did the voice thing, I was like, this is an avenue. Whether I win it or not is that's irrelevant.
Right.
Like I'm gonna get to go out there and dude, like 17-year-old me who had never been outside the Southeast in my entire life, going to LA for the first time. I mean, talk about culture shock.
I bet.
I didn't know
Overwhelming.
what to do with myself.
I gotta say too, watching because I watched your audition for The Voice, and talking about how your parents kind of flamed your fire. It was so cool to see their reaction when Blake turned around and how they went nuts. You could see how like proud they were. You know what I mean?
So awesome, man.
So, truthfully, that's my favorite part of the entire experience. Is that like 7-second clip of them jumping up and down backstage when Blake turned. Everything else I did was dwarfed based on. I remember the night that we watched it on, like we had like a watch party at like one of my family friends' house with like a bunch of my close friends, and I had never seen that clip before. And the first time I saw it was when it aired on TV, and I mean, I won't lie to you, I cried. I had to get up and walk out of the room and compose myself before coming back, because I mean, like I said, man, my parents kind of helped me get to where I was. I wouldn't have had that opportunity if it had not been for my mom just literally throwing that Hail Mary up to the sky and just being like, maybe this works out for him. Maybe it doesn't, but we got to try, And that was one of the really, definitely the coolest thing of that experience. And, I just never get tired of that video. I watch it all the time, to be totally honest with you. Just their reaction is like the greatest thing.
Seeing that, because you got to imagine, like, I'm a parent right now. And so, I have a daughter who is all into singing and dancing and all that stuff. So I'm fully like, whatever you want to do in your life, sweetheart, do it. And I like picture that, and I see that video, and I picture it as like me watching my kid, and you see that happen. It's like you kind of get the feeling of like what they're feeling of like, my son is out there, and Blake Shelton, of all the judges, Blake Shelton is the one who turned around. So the guy who fits my son perfectly. And then on top of that, like, my son's living his dream. You know what I mean? He now, because this person turned around, his entire life is changed.
Yep.
And I thought that was probably of that whole video. That was my favorite part is watching them just freak out, because you could tell that meant the world to them. So
it will always get me choked up every time I see it. That's crazy. It's funny too, because not many people have seen that too. Because I was on The Voice for like all of 5 minutes. So like, there's still people that like have followed me for years that are like, "You were on The Voice." So that's cool. I love that you guys have seen that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure, man.
So I got to ask though, what was Blake Shelton like, brother?
The best.
He seems like the coolest man. Someone you just want to go have a beer, shoot the breeze, get drunk with, just have a good time, man. And
so I'll tell you, this is my experience with Blake Shelton. It was short because, like I said, I made the team on the blind auditions, and I was knocked out the very next round of the show. But in between those two times, there was a night where Blake had decided he wanted to hang out with the team members. No cameras, no producers, no TV show. It's just Blake and us for a night. And so they bring me and the other 11 contestants out to this house that they've rented for Blake in this like mansion in the Hollywood Hills, like just the most ridiculously gorgeous house I've ever seen in my life to this day. And I live in Nashville. Like there's a lot of nice houses. I've never seen anything that tops this house. He has like Oklahoma Joe's barbecue, which if you don't know what Oklahoma Joe's is, it's like the best barbecue in the world. He has it flown out from Kansas City, and that's like our dinner that night.
Wow.
And then when we get done eating,
Shit.
we sit down in the living room, and he kind of goes around the room and like says like, tell us like 3 things about you, where you're from, you know, like what's your backstory kind of thing. And then he passes a guitar around the room, and he says, play me one song. It can be something you wrote. It can be something that you just love. That's a cover song, whatever you want to do. Just play me one song that means a lot to you. And we did that for the next 2 hours. That was the coolest experience for a 17-year-old because, to be honest with you, I didn't expect that from Blake. I didn't expect that from any of the coaches. I expected this to be a very cut and dry TV show. You know, like, hey, I'll see you when we're on camera and we'll act like best friends and then we'll move on with our lives when the cameras get turned off. Blake was the complete opposite. He was the nicest, coolest, most down-to-earth dude. Me and him talked shit about football for like 20 minutes that night over dinner. He's a huge Arizona Cardinals fan.
Right.
Really?
I know that from that conversation. He is diehard. And me and him talked about how much both of our teams absolutely suck for most of our lifetimes. You know? So
I'm guessing you're a Falcons fan, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't say that one out loud just because we've been through a lot, and that usually prompts a lot of 28-3 comments whenever I say that.
Yeah.
So I just try to stay straight.
I mean, not even the 28-3. It's just the last season, man. That I gotta say, that was one.
No.
I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but man,
No.
that I was like, they did it again, and then the next week it's like, they did it again.
They did it again.
Wait,
Yeah.
this is like the 4th time this year. like what?
So don't feel too bad, Jordan, because we may be talking a little bit of shit right now about your team, but this guy right here is a Jacksonville Jaguar fan, and me, well, I'm an Oakland Raider fan.
Yeah.
He's a Niner fan,
I'm a
so
Niners
they've
fan,
sucked
so
for most of his life.
We've been.
So we don't, especially us two, we don't have room to talk. That's for sure. But
Hey,
it's
you know
cool.
what? There's some Jaguar fans where you're from, right?
So actually, I was gonna say I actually know a lot of Jaguar fans here in Nashville.
There's more than
I
one?
got a couple of buddies that are very excited to see number 16 sling the ball next year.
Yeah.
I cannot. I've been like
He won't shut up.
smiling ear to ear ever since.
And-
So one of my
And then
one of my-
Urban
one
Meyer.
of my really good friends in Nashville. His name's JD. Shout out JD Groover if you ever see this, buddy. Don't ever say I didn't talk about you. JD has been a believer in me for a long time. The publisher in town that helps me keep my calendar very busy. Anyway, JD is a huge Jaguars fan, and I mean like. When I say huge, I mean like I don't even think I care about my teams as much as he cares about the Jags.
my man.
I remember when y'all went to the AFC Championship a couple of years ago. Against
When we got
Cleveland.
when we
Sorry,
got
man,
robbed.
I don't mean to bring that up, but when y'all went to that game, I was cheering for Jacksonville as if I was from Jacksonville. Like I wanted it so bad for
Dude.
y'all,
You
and
get-
not just because we had just been beaten by the Tom guy.
Yeah. Well, you could tell, like, this guy was with me. Every time my
Yeah.
team's in a big game, I watch it with this guy, and they freaking lose. Every single time. And so we're watching this game. It's him and my dad, and we're up, like, 10 points with, like, 6 minutes left. And I looked at them, and I said, we're going to lose the game. And they're all, what? You
I'm
guys
like,
are up.
nah,
Your
come
defense
on, man,
playing
don't
great."
say
I'm
that.
like, I can see the look in Tom Brady's eyes right now. We're going to lose the game. And he just marched down the field twice and scored and game over. And I'm just like, I literally, and then now he's in the Super Bowl again this year. It's like, damn, dude.
I will say,
on.
I will say the curse was broken this year at the World Series. I was with him when the Dodgers won the World Series.
He was.
So, but
Yeah.
know,
So
So I'll tell you, when I was watching Super Bowl 51 with a group of friends of mine, and there was like, I want to say there was like 10 Falcons fans. There was one Pats fan. And one of the guys that was a Falcons fan walked up to me at halftime in the Super Bowl. And I must have had like this worried look on my face the entire first quarter. Like I was excited, but once halftime hit, I think it was sinking in who we were playing, where we were playing, what we were playing for, and also what team I cheer for. So I've just got this worried look on my face. And guy walks up to me and is just like, "What's wrong, dude? Like, your team's winning." And I was like, "I know, but it's Georgia sports, and it's Tom Brady, and it's
Tom
the
Brady.
fucking Super Bowl. Like, I just feel like something's going to happen."
Oh man.
You know? And sure enough, man, it took, I was wrong. I thought it was going to be the whole second half. It turns out it only took less than a quarter of football to dismantle my entire team.
Did it go to overtime?
But
Yeah.
Yeah, did it? Okay, it was OT.
it was less than 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I wish it wasn't, but it was literally it was like 2
Oh,
minutes into the
man.
fourth quarter
Yeah.
when it all went down.
Once Edelman
Oh,
made
Dion
that catch, I was like, it's done.
It's done.
You know what sucks, man, is there's a catch that Julio Jones makes. I think it was like right at the end of the third quarter, where he is literally like just his toes touching on like the green, like this close to the white. They got to review it for like 15 minutes to make sure he's in, and he ends up being in play. That should have been the greatest catch in Super Bowl history, and everybody forgets about it.
Yeah, it
because
was
of what
overshadowed.
Yep.
happened after that. So I
Oh,
feel you,
man.
dude.
That's
100% I
crazy.
feel you.
I hate Tom Brady.
Yeah. So
Yeah, okay. I was going to say, too. So Brady's in the Super Bowl this year. I was one of the people that at the beginning of the year, I said, I don't care that it's Tom Brady. The Bucs won't make the playoffs. They're just not going to do it. And my manager is actually a huge Tom Brady fan. He's not a Pats fan. He's a Tom Brady fan. He's the worst kind of person.
Yeah.
He has been in my ear the entire year about don't bet against Brady, don't bet against Brady. And you know what? I probably should have learned my lesson to this point, but whatever. Go Chiefs.
it's
Oh,
hard
yeah,
to bet
okay.
against Mahomes.
That was my next question. I was like, okay, well, this sounds like a good a time as ever to get your Super Bowl prediction. So let's hear it. You got Chiefs.
Okay.
What do you think it's going to be? Tell us a little bit about it.
All right, so I've thought a lot about this. I think we're in for – you can put this down. I think
I'll
we're
write
in
it
for
We
right
one
are.
of the
It's
best
official.
Super Bowls we've seen in a long time.
The most what? Points?
I think we're in for one of the best Super Bowls
yes.
we've seen
Oh.
in a long time.
For sure.
I think you're looking at – because think about it. You're looking at the GOAT. Like, as much as he's ruined my life and I can't stand it, Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all
You
time.
can't
There
say
is
otherwise.
Hands
absolutely
down.
No doubt
debate
about it, man.
whatsoever. You have a guy on the other side of the field who has the potential to be the next GOAT.
Yeah. Baby goat.
Patrick Mahomes is going to be in the Super Bowl like at least 5 of the next 10 years.
It's hard to say he won't be.
Yeah.
And that's lowballing. He might be more.
Yeah.
This is going to be like, and also add in the fact that nobody thought Brady was going to be like ESPN and all that thought like, they love Brady. So they all have been saying all year like, oh, Brady's going to the Super Bowl, whatever. No fan watching the NFL that wasn't a Bucs fan thought the Bucs were going to go this far. Nobody. If they did say that, they were lying.
I predicted it.
He predicted this exact Super
Did you
Bowl
really?
at the beginning of it. We did an NFL preview. He predicted Bucks Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I'll give him that. I will give him that.
Wow.
We don't give him much, but he
I
got that.
In the same breath, I also predicted the Niners were going to go 13-3 and win the NFC West this year. But it's all right. We don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Hey, man, batting 500 is still a good. It's
Yeah,
still
right.
a bad.
Absolutely.
Man, I can't say for sure who I think is gonna win. I know who I hope is gonna win, but I know one thing for sure. I really, really, really feel like we're in for like one of those Super Bowls that we're gonna talk about for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Just think about
It's going to be good.
not just what's at stake from the standpoint of like this is the Super Bowl. This very, very, very well may be Brady's last Super Bowl.
Right.
Like everyone he plays in to this point might be his last, but like this might actually be his last.
Like a passing of the torch
if
of
he
sorts.
wins, I feel like he's gone.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. I'm not wishing that. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
if I was him, I'd call it a career at 7.
Yeah.
I've got more rings than I've got, than I know what to do with. So I'll call that a career.
Yeah, Brady just said he's considering playing after 45 today. So why
we'll
not?
see, man.
Who knows?
But you've got a guy who is chasing all-time greatness on one side of the field, and then on the other side of the field, you've got a kid who's literally the same age as me right now, who has the potential to be the next Tom Brady from the standpoint of the next best quarterback that we've ever seen.
Right.
So, and then add on the fact that you have all these stud players on both teams.
Yeah.
Like I said, I have no problem admitting it. I didn't believe in the Bucs to start the season. They're a great ball club.
They are.
They're a fantastic football team.
Well, they have progressed so much from that first game. You could tell they're a completely different team. So
right.
yeah.
Absolutely. And the Chiefs are a great team. You've got Travis Kelce. You've got Tyreek Hill. You've got all of these. Dude, I think and I'm not just saying this because he's a Georgia guy, but Mecole Hardman is an absolute stud. I've known it for longer than everybody else because I watched him play at UGA. But when everybody was talking about he dropped the kickoff or whatever, I was
but he made up for it.
But what do you do the next? Yeah, you got it.
It was like one of the next 5 plays. He put him in the end zone.
Right.
That's Mecole Hardman, man.
Well, I saw a little insider of like Mahomes and Kelce like picking him up. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna make a big play. You're gonna make a huge play. Don't worry about it. And lo and behold, Andy Reid was writing up plays to get him involved. And I love the way they use him. Hate the Chiefs being a Raider fan. Love the way they use him. I mean, what more can you say about it? It's gonna be a great Super Bowl. I can't wait to watch it, man. And
I'm excited.
For the sake of sportsmanship, I'll go ahead and I'll give you a prediction because I don't feel like I've done that yet. It's cheap as fuck.
You got a score?
It's gonna be a good game. Like that's cheap. So I'll give you an actual prediction. I think it's gonna be neck and neck all the way to the end. I think it's gonna be one of those games that comes down to like the last. It's gonna come down to the 2-minute warning in the fourth quarter.
Whoever has the ball last.
Right.
Yeah.
I do think the Chiefs come out on top. I'm not saying that as a guy that doesn't like Brady because I can respect what Brady's done in the game.
Yeah, for sure.
I can respect that he's the greatest quarterback of all time. I can respect that he's the greatest postseason quarterback of all time. Patrick Mahomes did not come this far to lose.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember watching Mahomes was my quarterback in fantasy football this year, so I watched him literally the entire season. The last handful of games of the season, he didn't look like himself. Something was weird. It was whether he was hurt or whatever. Maybe he was load managing, whatever. Dude, that game against the Bills, he showed up to quiet a lot of people. And I think you're going to see that same Patrick Mahomes show up at the Super Bowl. I really do.
In this Super Bowl, I mean, usually when you have Tom Brady, he's playing another quarterback that you're like, that guy's good, but he's not at that level.
Right.
I really feel like I agree with you. Whoever has the ball last, because both of these quarterbacks, you give them the ball with like a minute left, I think they can go down and score. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's
whoever has the ball last. Man.
Yeah, and I just feel like and those two guys, I feel like it's almost guaranteed they will score. They're just those guys that like when their team needs it, they do it.
Well, what was it? Was it 2019 when we saw this? When we saw Mahomes Brady for the first time in the AFC Championship? It came down to overtime.
Yep.
An offsides penalty too.
Yeah.
I just can't believe that it's not going to be that again. I really do think that I think the Chiefs win it eventually. I don't know how. I won't even put a score on it because I couldn't even imagine what that's going to look like.
You think it's going to be high scoring?
I think it's going to be an unpredictable game. I don't think this is going to be one of those, where you can go one team dominates the first half or whatever. I think this is going to be one of the best football games we've ever seen as far as the Super Bowl goes. But I do think the Chiefs end up pulling it out. And I don't know, man. I'm really, really excited for a guy that has no stake in this game whatsoever.
Yeah.
Either of my teams in the Super Bowl this year, I cannot wait to watch it.
Hey, it's one of the biggest Hey, man, you're not alone. Obviously, it's one of the biggest holidays in the United States, man.
For sure,
it's a national holiday.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No. So let's transition into a segment that we're gonna do, And I kind of dropped the ball. I was supposed to message you about it, but I didn't. But
you could pick up on it.
But I'm sure you'll pick up on it. It's called Name That Tune. And what we're going to do is we're going to give some lyrics, not going to sing it, just going to say it and see if we can all guess each other's song.
Okay.
All right.
So
I'll start off first. All right. Okay. See the love in a woman's eyes. Feel the touch of a precious child and know a mother's love.
I think I know this.
What do you guys think?
Well, I just can't think of it.
I didn't read it. I didn't read it in tune because I didn't want you guys to
No,
catch
you
on.
can't read it.
So
it
it's
sounds so
chicken
familiar.
fried.
Yeah,
by,
chicken fried.
Zach Brown
Brown
Band.
It's chicken fried.
Damn it.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I was like, I know
I was
what
like,
that is.
I absolutely know it. I was like,
That's Zach Brown Band's like my
So-
favorite country band. So I had to go with them for sure.
so
Dude, that was the song I sang on The Voice.
Yeah.
I know that's why I picked it.
yeah. That's funny. You did say you were gonna do that.
I
That's
know.
funny. So I'll do mine, man. And I didn't know I thought you were just gonna guess, so I told them. But here's a good one right here. Because the bartender asked me, "Son, what'll it be? I want a shot of that redhead yonder looking at me. The dance floor is hopping and it's hotter than the 4th of July. Come on now."
Boot Scoot and Boogie.
We grew up. I grew up.
Let's go.
I grew up to Brooks and
Next
Dunn
question.
greatest hits, brother. So it's all good.
I love the.
That's yeah.
Well, I knew I was waiting for it. By the way,
You had to give them the "We heard enough."
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the. I heard it.
That was it.
Back next year. Come
So mine, Jordan, I think will get, and Kenny will get. I don't think Aaron will know this, but I think you guys will get it. On this day, I see clearly. Everything has come to life.
All right, you want to go first? You want me to do it?
A bitter place and a broken dream. Go ahead.
You guys know what it is?
I have no idea.
Aaron's not into it. Kenny should know.
Yeah, I should. What'd you say?
Maybe I should start it off with,
On this
you think
day-
you know me?
Yeah, the Edge thing.
The Edge theme song.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll do you one better. I know the band and the name of the song.
Yeah.
What is it,
Met-
Motorhead or
it's
something?
No, Metalingus by Alter Bridge.
Well, I
Metalingus
definitely
by
didn't know
Alter
that.
Bridge. It's
that's a
hot take
great song.
on the Garage Gang podcast. It's the greatest wrestling song
Yeah,
ever.
Absolutely.
It's the greatest wrestling interest theme of all time.
yeah.
100%. And I had
cool.
said
That's a good
that
one.
because I
Stone
saw
Cold
that
Brother.
you, I think it was on your story the other day. You're like, oh, I'm going to go to my brother's to watch Royal Rumble or watch wrestling. And I was like, I'm doing the exact same thing. Then when you posted Edge today, I was like, oh, yeah, I got to do it.
Oh, dude. So it's funny. This is me nerding out about wrestling. So my wrestling is my guilty pleasure. I've loved it since I was a kid.
Yeah.
I never fell out of it. I don't watch it as much as I used to, but I still absolutely love to watch it, especially with my brothers. It's like one of those things that we all three just like bond over, no matter how old we get.
Right.
And the Royal Rumble is our favorite show of the year. So the last couple of years we've had a tradition where we watch it together. So I drove to Greenville, South Carolina, where my brother lives, and we watched it together. And we just had a blast screaming at the TV, getting excited about who returned and who got thrown out the ring. And all that
Stand
kind of
back.
stuff. And
There's a hurricane coming through.
there's a hurricane coming through. That's right, dude. We were a little surprised by that one. I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah. That's good stuff.
I
Yeah,
didn't
I'm-
see
I'm
Christian
the-
coming.
I'm the resident
Yeah.
wrestling hater on
He's
this.
a fuddy duddy on
He
it.
hates
Yeah.
wrestling.
I'm not a big fan
Yeah.
of it.
Wrestling hater, is that right? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Can I ask, what do you mean by hating? Because there's
Here we
different
go.
kinds.
Well, it's
Are
just
you one of the people that's like, it's fake?
It's like
Yeah, well,
the stunts are very real. It's scripted.
It's scripted, and I don't like the fact that it's scripted. I don't like.
Yeah.
I don't like when people call it a sport. It's an event. That's the way I
fair.
look at it. That's
fair. I don't judge. Here's my
Yeah.
thing, and because this is my thing about wrestling. I don't judge people that like it, and I also don't judge people that absolutely hate it and can't stand it. Because I understand why people love it, and I understand why people hate it. It is simultaneously the most entertaining thing on television, and also the cheesiest thing you can put on your eyes
for sure.
at any given time. I'm fully aware of that.
But hey,
But it
there's
feels
people.
so good.
There's people who love
It's-
it.
For me, it's a little bit of nostalgia. Like
That's what it
I
is for
remember
me,
watching,
man.
So like I remember watching wrestling as a kid, like in the era of like when WCW was a thing, and it was
Right.
like Goldberg and Sting,
The Monday Night Wars.
and NWO and all that, and then there was on WWE TV, it was The Rock, and it was Austin, it was Undertaker, it was Kane, it was like all these guys. My parents didn't let us watch wrestling when I was a kid. Like it was like it was too much. My mom didn't want us watching it.
Yeah.
And so on Monday nights when Raw would come on,
Love it.
I would go to my bedroom and I would turn the sound off and I would just watch it with no sound on with my finger over the power button.
Just waiting.
Just waiting for somebody to walk in so I could hit the power button and act like I was asleep.
But your TV still has that it's still the lit up black. So if your parents walk in,
it's kind of cracking. It's kind of crackling a little bit. It's just like, you know.
Yeah, that was the trick. Was you had to time it, like you had to be listening.
Yeah.
You were watching, paying attention to the show, but you were listening to outside the door because you had like a 3-second window where if you turned it off when somebody opened the door, they'd still hear like the sound of the TV shutting down.
Yeah.
And they knew what was up, you know.
Oh man, that's
For sure.
good.
I think
we all have the same problems though. It was just I was watching nude movies.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I was like, honestly, Jordan, I did that too, but not with wrestling. So
It was a different kind of wrestling.
yeah. So I have a couple.
I would say there's wrestling involved there.
Yeah, yeah. It was that's awesome, brother. So I'm glad at least we can definitely.
That's awesome.
So
Great
on.
pick, dude. I love that.
That was a cool
set.
set.
You
Yeah.
said it when I know exactly where you're going.
Dude, I didn't even process it, and then I just see you getting hyphy back there, and I'm like, well, you must know this.
He
right
got up
now.
out of the chair. He was ready to roll.
Yeah.
Well, because like I said, wrestling is one of those things where I feel like it will always be. Like I said, it's a guilty pleasure. It's not something that you're like overtly wanting to talk about with a stranger because the odds are if you just walk up to a random person on the street and just go like, I'm a wrestling fan, how about you? They're going to make fun of you and walk off.
Yeah.
So it's not like something that you talk about unless somebody else says like, hey, I'm a wrestling fan. And then you're both just going to nerd out for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
What's out of your system.
Right.
So I like that segment. We'll do that again.
Yeah, I like that one.
We'll put that to the
Great.
segment
Add
board
that
right now.
to
We
the
got
list.
it. So
Also, I will say you guys should surprise people with that. Don't
Yeah.
tell them what's coming. I think that's great.
yeah, that's awesome. Hell yeah, man. So we kind of mentioned a little earlier in the pod in our conversation that about your YouTube channel, man. You had a pretty successful YouTube channel. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's the most random thing that's ever happened to me. I still don't know how that happened, man. So we talked about Barry Williams earlier. Barry was the guy that gave me the idea to do like the YouTube cover thing for a while. And I hated the idea when he first came up with it. I was like, I don't want to be a cover artist. I don't want to be known for singing other people's songs. I want to be known as the guy that like writes my own stuff and plays my own stuff. But at the end of the day, nobody was wanting to hear my songs at the time.
What a 17-year-old or 16-year-old had to write about.
Exactly. And honestly, if I went back and listened to those songs now, I'd probably tell you that, I mean, they all sucked. Like the first handful of songs that any songwriter writes, you hope those never see the light of day. Like every single one of us is that way. So I gave it a shot. I was, again, Hail Mary, fuck it, whatever. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. And I started putting cover songs on YouTube of just like whatever my favorite song was of the week. Like whatever I was listening to a bunch, I would record like a little acoustic video in my bedroom or on the tailgate of my truck or on the back porch of, my house and just throw it up there and see if people like it, And I didn't pay much attention to it until one day one of my friends called me and was like, dude, my cousin that lives in Wyoming just called me and said like, your friend came up on my like YouTube channel or whatever. Because this was right about the time that like YouTube was doing the suggested for you videos.
Oh yeah.
Gotcha.
So like if you looked up, a Justin Moore song, if I had done a cover of it, my videos had got enough traction to where like my video was the next thing after the official music video. So it went from like a couple hundred views to a couple thousand to a couple of those videos ended up with like 50 to 100,000 views overnight out of nowhere. And I didn't know anything about it because, like I said, I was kind of begrudgingly doing it, just kind of like, here's me recording the song, throw it on YouTube, and then forget about it. I didn't even look at it, you know? And then I started paying attention to it once, you know, I noticed how much it had popped off. And that ended up being the thing that led to me moving to Nashville, because that's how I got discovered.
Right.
Oh, that's how. Didn't you say that's how The Voice kind of discovered you too?
So that was how The Voice found me, because I was doing it. I did it for like 2 or 3 years. The Voice found a bunch of the cover videos that I did, and then Justin Moore ended up finding a bunch of the videos. And I couldn't be more serious when I say this. Justin Moore found one of my videos on YouTube, called me out of the blue, and asked me to come on tour with him.
That was actually our next question.
It's because we knew that came from that.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah.
I mean, what was that like? What was that? How did that come about? Like,
The Off the
All
Beaten
right,
Path
so-
tour.
The story for this one is I'm 19 years old. I'm driving to my local grocery store in my hometown to pick up like milk or eggs for my mom. Like I'm literally running errands for my mother. And I look down at my phone ringing, and it's a 615 number. And I know 615 is the area code for Nashville. So I'm like, I got to pick this up. So I pick it up, and the guy on the other end of the phone goes, "Hey, Jordan, my name is Jeremy Stover. I produce Justin Moore. In fact, I've got Justin on the phone with us." And then Justin says, "What's up?" At this point, I think my friends are fucking with me. Like,
Yeah.
like in my head, I'm like, this is not funny. Like, my friends are messing with me. There's no way that this is a real thing. But Jeremy and Justin were able to convince me that it was for real, and it was for real. And they were basically, they said, "What does the rest of your year look like?" At this time, it was, you know, this must have been like August of 2013 when I got this phone call. So I said, nothing. I mean, I'm booking shows, and I'm starting to I was making trips back and forth to Nashville at the time to write songs. But I told them, I was like, nothing. What do you guys got, you know? And they said, well, we are starting a headlining tour in November. We want to know if you want to be a part of it.
That's awesome.
And again, I just looked at my phone like, this isn't real. There's no way. Like, you know, this is just a random Tuesday, and I'm driving to Kroger to pick up, you know, milk and eggs from my mom, and Justin Moore calls me out of nowhere and asks me to be on tour with him. This doesn't happen. And it did, man. We spent a couple of afternoons together after that. I drove up to Nashville and hung out with Justin. I flew up to Boston and got to see a Red Sox game with Justin. We got to know each other really well. And Justin is just like Blake, I was talking about earlier, the most down-to-earth, best dude in the world. Like genuinely, like one of the greatest people I've met, just because fame hasn't changed him. He's still a dip-spitting, boot-wearing redneck that just would rather go hunt and fish than just about anything else. You know?
Right.
but that's awesome. That's what makes people like that so, like, I guess, like, lovable or so relatable to the common people that don't have their, you know, their clout.
Absolutely. Yeah, man, it was a really cool experience. And like I said, man, at 19 years old, I got yanked out of my hometown and put on one of the major tours in country music that toured the entire country. It was, I mean, that just doesn't happen, you know? And I did my very best to soak up every moment of that tour. And to this day, it's still my favorite thing I've ever done.
Bigger question, did you get the milk and eggs?
I did.
You did?
I did.
Okay.
So the way that happened was my phone rang as I was like parking my truck. So I answered the phone in the parking lot.
Uh-huh.
When I hung up the phone, I put my truck in drive and like went to drive home to tell my mom what had just happened, to tell my family and tell my friends and everything. And then halfway home, I went, "Oh shit, I have to go do that."
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I was like,
I speed walk through Kroger, like trying to get all the stuff, because I'm still like trying to like figure out like, okay, I got to tell this person, I got to tell that person, like all that kind of stuff.
I
So
bet your mind
it
was going
funny.
90 to nothing,
Yeah,
bro.
man, that was that was a day that I'm never gonna forget. That was really cool.
So yeah, it's just another one of those examples of, man, you never know who's watching
Yeah.
or listening or, watching from afar, dude.
That's
crazy, man.
Awesome.
Opportunity.
So you said you
And-
did. Oh, sorry. go
And
ahead.
I want to say this too, just to reiterate, that came from something that I didn't want to do.
Yep.
Like I remember having the conversation with Barry when he first said, "Do some YouTube videos." I went, "No, I don't want to do that." And now I wouldn't be talking to you guys right now if it wasn't for those
Yeah.
stupid YouTube covers that I
Right.
did when I was a teenager.
Heck yeah.
I'm going to have to check out that YouTube. I
I
haven't
was
even done
watching
it,
a
man.
few
I'm
Don't
today
do
at work.
that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
They're not very good.
Too late.
You know,
They must have been pretty good, bro.
So you said you didn't want to be known as a cover artist, but what was your favorite
Yeah.
cover song,
Favorite cover song ever?
or just
That you
Just,
did.
You know.
I mean, I did a lot of like the modern country stuff. Like at the time, it was like 2012, 2013 country stuff. So it was FGL, it was Thomas Rhett, it was Justin Moore, Jason Aldean, Luke Bryan, because that's what was popular at the time.
for
Right.
sure?
Nothing against any of those guys. That's never been my favorite music to sing. But my favorite stuff, if I'm going to cover something, is like 90s country.
Yes.
Or,
That's what I was hoping.
quite honestly, my favorite stuff to cover is like the late 90s and early 2000s, like pop punk stuff. That's
Really?
what I grew up on.
Talk about
was,
Blink 182 and
Green Day, Blink,
Yes.
Sum
Hell
41,
yeah.
Newfound
I
Glory.
love it.
Linkin
I love
Park.
it. I'm a huge punk fan and all.
Oh, dude,
hip hop punk.
I'm the guy that never outgrew his punk rock phase.
Yeah.
Like if I get in the truck right now and drove somewhere, the first thing that I'm gonna put on is like
Yeah.
something heavy.
That's
Absolutely.
Still
man.
to this day, if Blink 182 comes on, like no matter what, I'm just
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Gotta put an
you
offspring.
know what I mean? Just
Oh, yeah.
going
Not,
nuts.
not only are you air drumming, but you're also singing like
Yeah.
Tom DeLonge.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
I
Absolutely.
mean, not
Yeah.
sounding like him, but I'm singing like him. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
100%.
You're putting the emphasis on the words like tonight, like
Yeah.
you're saying
Yeah.
everything like that, you know.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
That's legit. So in 2014, you had your first record deal with Broken Bow Records. You released Southern Boy with Jason Aldean. How was that? That was your first single, and you collabed with one of the biggest country music stars of our time. How was that?
Man, I said I feel like I've said this a lot since we've been talking, but you know, doing that song was definitely one of my favorite things I've ever done. It was one of the coolest things I've ever gotten to do because Jason has been a friend of mine and a friend of my family's since I was a kid. I should have said this earlier. Barry Williams is Jason's dad.
Yeah, yeah.
So we've known the Williams family for a long time. So me and Jason used to kick around the idea of like, oh man, it would be fun if we like sang a song one day, or, you know, like, man, we should do this song, we should do that song one day. But to me, it was all just like a bunch of bullshit buddies were talking around a campfire. Like I never
Yeah.
thought it was going to happen, you know? At the time, I'm a 19, 20-year-old kid chasing a dream, and he's the biggest superstar in country music. Like, no way in the world is that going to happen. And then fast forward to 2015, me and him end up on the same label, and I'm kind of going, maybe it happens, you know, but I'm not getting my hopes up. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, whatever. And we got this song called Southern Boy, and it's just me singing it. And we had actually tried Justin Moore on the duet. Like, we tried me and Justin doing it. And for one reason or another, that ended up falling apart. And so it ended up just being me singing it. And Jason heard the song because I sent him everything that I recorded. And I still kind of do. I still send him a ton of my stuff. But at the time, literally, if I recorded a song, the second it hit my inbox, Jason was the first guy I sent it to, because Jason was kind of like a big brother figure to me. Like, I could send him stuff, and I knew I was going to get, like, an honest feedback from him. He's always been that way with me. And so I sent him a bunch of the music, and Southern Boy was in that batch of songs. And I remember he called me one night, and he just said, like, man, what are you doing with that Southern Boy song? He's like, what's the game plan with it? And I was like, I don't know, man. We tried it as a duet. Something feels like it's missing. We're not really sure like what we're gonna do with it yet. We know we really like the song. We just feel like there's like it's like 98% there. We need that like last little bit to get it over the hump. And he goes, well, what if we sang it together? And I wish I was around somebody that would have been able to capture my reaction when he said that, because it was kind of like the thing that you wanted to happen, but you never thought would.
Yeah.
And I was never going to bring that up. And I was never going to be the guy to be like, hey, Jason, we should sing a song together. So the fact that he was the one to bring it up was like the coolest thing in the world to me. So a couple weeks later, go into the studio, and I got to be there the day that he recorded his vocal on the song, and he was asking my opinion on how he should be singing it. And once we got done recording it, we were listening to it down, and he was kind of like cosplaying, like, man, this is where I would walk out on the stage, like, for my part. And then this is where you would come in with the high note and, like, all this kind of stuff. And we're, like, kind of planning everything out, man. And it was May 6th, 2015 was when it happened. I'll never forget that day because it was one of the coolest days that I've had in Nashville as far as recording music goes, because there's a short list of people that have gotten to record a song with Jason,
Right.
like as a feature, and I'm one of them.
Uh-huh.
And
That's awesome.
to me, that will always be special. Regardless if the song worked or not, I couldn't care less. That song will always be special to me because it's something that I never thought I was going to get to do, and I got to do it.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Well, and especially like you said, he's a feature on your song. You're not a feature on his song.
Right.
That's a big deal.
That's special.
Yeah, I think I'm not positive on this, but I think I'm one of only like 2 or 3 other artists that have Jason Aldean featured on a song. Every other song Jason is singing with somebody else, it's them featured on a Jason song.
100%.
So it's a special landmark in my career, man.
Yeah.
And something that I will always look back fondly on is that day in the studio when we got to kind of create that sound of what that song was going to be like.
And I bet it was surreal, man, that I'm just visualizing it right now. Like he's in the booth singing. He's like, hey, how did that sound? How should it sound? How do you envision it in your head sounding, since it is your creation and he's on it? It's something like that. I think that's probably a surreal thing, man.
It's funny, man. Like I said, I've known Jason for a long time. I don't fangirl over Jason.
Yeah.
Like, to me, Jason is
That's
not
true.
Jason
That's
Aldean.
true. Yeah.
He's Jason Williams. He's a buddy. He's a friend. He's a guy that I would go to his house and drink beer with and watch Braves games before I would talk music with him. Me and him never talked music, other than the handful of times we'd kick around, singing a song together.
Right.
And I remember sitting in the studio that day, like, kind of fangirling a little bit.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, even though, like, my perception of him is he's a friend, he's still Jason Aldean.
He's a megastar.
Like, he's still the top dog in the format at the time. So, and I've got him in a vocal booth singing my song that is going to be my first, at the time I didn't know it was going to be, but it's going to end up being my first single to radio. Like, it was a special feeling, man. It was a pinch yourself moment for sure, because I kind of went back to writing songs in my bedroom at my parents' house, thinking that nobody would give a shit about what I wanted to say or what I sounded like or anything about me. I never thought in a million years anybody would care to hear my songs.
Right.
And then I'm sitting in the studio with the biggest guy in the format wanting to sing a song with me. It's
That's bitchin'.
Dude.
It's surreal. It really is.
You know what I just thought of, man? You get the craziest phone calls.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Hey, why don't you come on to LA to come do The Voice? Hey, man, this is Justin Moore. Hey, why don't we do this? Why don't you come tour with me? Hey, this is Jason Aldean. What are you doing with Jason Williams, your buddy? That's not too fangirl, but still fangirl for 99% of us.
Yeah.
And so it's like, hey, what you doing with that debut single you got, Southern Boy? Let's do something with it. How about we sing it together? Man, your call list, that's pretty cool, man. That call history.
Yeah.
That's something to be proud of.
You know what, man? Like I said, I grew up in a small town where the majority of people that grow up in that small town don't make it out of the small town.
Yeah.
I've gotten to do some really cool things, and I don't take any of them for granted. I'm very blessed to get to live the life that I live, and to get to say and to get to tell these stories to y'all and to people. You know, it's not something. I hope I don't sound like I'm bragging or that I'm
No,
like
not at
trying
all.
to
Dude, not at all. You're a
be
pretty
like I'm
humble
cooler
guy.
than somebody, because truly, I'm blown away that I'm getting to tell these stories every time that I do. You know,
Right.
like I'm just as excited to. Like I still, part of me doesn't even feel like those things actually happen to me when I'm even saying them. You know,
Yeah.
it's just I'm blessed, man. And like I said, it's one of those things where it's just like Hail Mary, just do it, just
Yep.
throw something at the wall and maybe it sticks, maybe it rolls, maybe it turns into something else, maybe it leads you to the next fork in your life that you're supposed to take a left or a right turn. You know,
Right.
Absolutely.
Well,
it's just,
so you went to Riser House Records in 2017, and then through Riser House Records, you've released 5 singles, and I gotta say, 2 of my favorite songs are "Dirt in My Veins" and "Where You Been All My Life." And that little hook and "Where You Been All My Life," that kind of little beginning where you brought up in a big city. Or homegrown in a small town. That was just like my favorite. Just did you write that or? Did,
yeah, I wrote both of those songs.
Oh man, phenomenal.
Thank you, man. I remember coming up with that song idea. I was driving back to Tennessee with the guy that I wrote it with, Thomas Archer, who I write a ton of my songs with. I wish it was a cooler story than this, but I was literally just staring at road and we were listening to music, and literally the title, where have you been all of my life? Like that saying that we've all heard and we've probably all used at some point.
Yeah.
Like just popped into my head. And the song idea was just like as clear as if it was like painted right in front of me. I knew exactly what to do with it. And I just turned to Thomas and I went, we were actually writing the next day. So I looked at him and I said, I know what we're writing tomorrow. And he goes, hit me with it. And so I said, the song's called Where You Been All My Life. It's about a girl that you don't know where she's from, but you're asking her all these questions, trying to figure out where she's been all your life. And he was like, I fucking love that. I cannot wait to write that tomorrow. And we went in the next day and we wrote a dog shit first verse. I'm not even gonna lie to you. We missed the mark 100%. It was terrible. And I was so upset because I was like, this idea is really good. Like, I know this is a good song idea and we're not doing it right. So I walk out the room, I grab another cup of coffee, and I just kind of wander around the building for like 10 minutes. And I come back and I just pick the guitar up and I just kind of start going, I just kind of start like playing like this. And it was that slow. It was like just nothing, you know? And the other guy we were riding with, his name's Michael Whitworth. Michael goes, play that faster. And so I start going. And I start thinking, like, that sounds a little like punk rock. Like, that sounds a little like some early 2000s Blink stuff. Uh-huh. And so I go, I'm going to play it faster. So I go. And when I hit that was the thing that set the whole song off. And then from that point on, we wrote the rest of the thing in like 30 minutes.
That
like
part just caught my eye too when he did that.
That's my favorite part about songwriting is you may know what you're going into the room with, and you still have no idea what's going to come out of it. It is different every single time. And that song was a product of literally just sticking to it. Because like I said, we wrote a terrible first verse, the first swing that we took at the song. And I couldn't even remember. It wasn't in the same key. It wasn't the same idea. It was like a ballad. It was lame. It was terrible. And I walked out of that room and I was like, this song is better than that. I know it is. I know we can do better than this. And sure enough, man, we slammed it out. And I'm so glad I got to release that too, because I remember when we recorded it, I told my producer, I want that lick to sound like a Blink-182 Sum 41 song. And so we had the lick where we were going da 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 but it was missing something in it. And so I go, turn the microphone on, just in the room, in the recording studio. And so he plays the track and he goes, da da da, and I go, whoa. And he goes, do that again. And so I did it 3 more times, and then the song was born. And it's one of my favorite songs to play live to this day, just because it's so much fun.
It gets me hyped, man, every time.
Oh, dude, same. Like it's so much fun to play live, and everybody grabs onto it, because there's a lot of people. I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of people that hear that intro and they go, "That's not country," or like, "This isn't what I want to listen to," or whatever people get mad about these days with music. But then there's people. There's a handful of people that like have told me, they're like, "Dude, I hated that intro until you started singing, and then that lyric couldn't be more country."
Yeah.
They're like that. Like,
And they understood it.
You hooked me with the music, and then you kept me with the lyric.
Yeah.
To me, that's always what I want to do with music.
Absolutely.
Because to me, lyric is the whole reason that we play music. If the lyric isn't good, the rest of the song isn't good either. I don't care how good your song sounds. If you don't have a good story and you don't have a good substance, like, that's what's going to
100%.
Unless it's rap.
Yeah.
Because you can sing a song about shaking your Laffy Taffy and make millions of dollars. But in country, you
Dropping
do
it like it's hot.
Yeah, in country you do have to have a story, because it's a storytelling type of music. It's not like come out and just say stupid shit, and you know what I mean.
There's a beginning, a middle, and an end usually in
100%.
each song.
And
So,
that's why I've gravitated a lot
for
more.
the most part.
The older I've gotten, I gravitate more towards country, and I've gotten a lot less towards rap, because I'm realizing, like, oh, this is what my parents were talking about all those years about how stupid this music was.
Yeah, when he was driving around with me in my truck in high school, man, like, I would just be playing country. He'd be like, "Dude, turn this off," like, blah blah blah. And then, lo and behold, he meets his lady, that's just now his wife, and he loves it. He loves it just about as much as I do, and he's learning more about it, which is cool. And we'll get back more to that when it's time for us to tell a story of ours, which you'll enjoy here coming up.
So 2020, you released your new EP, Habits and Hearts. Tell us about the album and what's next for you.
Man, it's funny. So I had only had one song planned for release going into 2020, and it was Somebody's Summer. When the pandemic hit and everything shut down, all my shows got canceled, all my rights got moved to Zoom. I was kind of scrambling. I was like, I don't know what this looks like. Nobody did. Nobody knew what to do with a global pandemic that locked up the entire planet, you know? So I remember I was still at Riser House at the time, and I remember having a phone call, like kind of a team meeting with everybody, and they were all like, "What are we going to do? Like, what do we, like, do we hold? Do we just go with it?" And just like everything else in my life, I was like, fuck it. Let's do it. Why not? We can't play shows. We can't go anywhere. The very least we can do is at least release music for people. And so we put Somebody's Summer out, and it popped pretty good, and a lot of people were really, really big fans of it. And, obviously it wasn't the mass reaction that I was hoping for, because, there was a whole tour, and there were shows booked around this release. So we kind of had to half-ass it, call an audible last minute and kind of do the best that we could with it. And it still was a great release. And so then later on in the year, we had talked about, all right, well, what are we going to do now? Because now it's July, and we still haven't played shows, and we still don't know what the rest of the year is going to look like. And I knew that we had these other 3 songs called Habits and Hearts, Call You Home, and Want Me to Want You that we had already recorded, that we hadn't done anything with. And anybody that knows anything about me knows that I love sad songs. That's my sweet spot. I absolutely love sad music. I don't know what it is or what's wrong with me.
So
but like,
the sad cowboy music, like that's a thing.
dude, I grew up an emo kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
The
true.
most prominent music influences in my life were 90s country and early 2000s punk rock.
Heartbreak.
Like, it's all sad. All of it is sad. So I grew up writing, and I mean, I don't know what it is. Like I said, I don't know what's wrong with me. I just really dig sad music. I really do.
Yeah.
It makes me happy. And I had these 3 songs that led more of this darker, deeper kind of, heavier feel. And the reason that we hadn't put those songs out yet was because of the vibe that they put out. Like Habits and Hearts is a sad ass song. I know it is. I wrote that song in the midst of a really bad breakup. Like, I know how raw that emotion is, but I also knew that I had heard songs from my favorite artists that I grew up listening to that wrote songs like that wrecked my entire world when I heard these songs because they were raw emotion. They were real. Like, you knew that, like, the person singing it had been through it and believed what they were saying. And I remember telling myself when I moved to Nashville, like, that's the kind of artist I want to be. I never want to be the kind of artist that, you have to question, like, does he mean it when he says it? Does he really feel it when he sings it? Man, I decided a long time ago that like my music is going to be my stories. It's going to be my experiences. And even if they're not my stories and my experiences, I try to put myself in the shoes of the person singing the song. And so basically, like, if I'm writing a song about something that I haven't personally experienced, I'm at least going to write the song from the standpoint of how I would handle it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
100%.
So that EP became, hey, these are 4 of my favorite songs that I've written in the last couple of years. They all mean a ton to me for different reasons. Why would we not release them? Like, why would we not give them to people? Especially in a time where it's the only thing we can do. All we can do is content or release music. And credit to Riser House, they took a chance on me. They let me release 4 of my favorite songs that I've ever written, even though they weren't necessarily commercial or radio hits. They let me do it. And I couldn't be prouder of the songs. If they never go number 1, I don't care. I'm just glad that I got a chance to put them out so people can hear them.
But they're your
Absolutely.
songs.
They're
They
your
mean
songs.
a lot
Yeah.
to you.
You'll get a
That's right,
you'll
man.
get a
They're my
call, bro.
stories. They tell an important piece of my story. All 4 of them do. Whether it's musical influences or personal experiences or whatever, they all tell an important piece of my story. And that's the whole point in releasing music. When I release a song, I want you guys to hear it and go, okay, he's been through that. Like, that's something he experienced. He knows something about. He feels it. He cares about it, and now he's telling me about it. And I hope that connects with y'all on some sort of level. I hope you guys hear my songs and think about your own childhood, your own upbringing, your own hometown, your own ex-girlfriends, or your own wives or girlfriends, or whatever it might be.
Right.
Well, that's what country does to you, bro. And I know I'm gonna become more familiar with you. Definitely gonna listen to more of your songs. Check them all out. I want to check out your YouTube. I want to check out everything. This was cool getting to know you and everything. We want to tell you a couple stories, quick stories about our funnest time in concerts. And I know you've probably heard about this because Jason, your good friend Jason, he was singing at this Stagecoach Music Festival in California. It's like where they have Coachella. I don't know if you've heard of that. Anyway, It's a huge music festival, like 2-3 days. Well, one of my most memorable things, and it always gives me goosebumps when I tell it, is we were on. It was the main event, basically, of that night, and it was Rascal Flatts was doing their thing. This was about 2010,
Something like that.
2011. Anyway, yeah, we're just pounding all day, drinking, whatever. It's just having a good time in the sun, man, because it's in Palm Springs, Indio, like it's desert out there. Rascal Flatts is in the middle of one of their songs. Don't remember. Not important. The most important thing is they stopped in the middle of their song, and they basically told the whole crowd, they're like, stop this shit. We just got word in our earpiece that we just killed Osama bin Laden, and there's like 60,000 people there. And you know how much American pride is at Stagecoach Country Music Festival. I have my buddy Dylan on my shoulders. I have like 2 Jacket Cokes in my hand walking around. And it's just, it always sends chills. And like, they literally were like, they stopped their show and were like, we killed that motherfucker. Like, you know, and it was just like, everyone was just, whoa.
We screamed USA for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, I went to bed screaming I passed out. I passed out doing that. But that's just one of my favorite things, and it was cool because I've listened to Jason Aldean for a while, and he was there. He was basically one of the main acts. He was a star. He was about a year and a half away from becoming a superstar. Like, you know, when he hit that, when My Kind of Party came out, and you know, The Truth, all that good stuff. I mean, that whole CD is great, but this was right before he became that full-fledged, the biggest thing in country. Aaron, what was your story? I know that
mine's from the same trip. It was at Stagecoach.
We went
Festival.
2 years in a row too.
Yeah.
That was cool.
We went 2 years in a row, but this year we literally had all just showed up. So what it is it's these rows of RVs, and there's 60,000 people at this event. So there's just rows and rows and rows of RVs. Well, we all finally got there, got set up, got parked. Well, these people, they get out, you know the material that's like the black trash bags?
Like tarp.
You know,
almost,
like it's like that, I don't know what the hell you call it, but they get it out and they're laying it out and they're setting up a huge freaking slip and slide, you know, and they're getting it all ready to go, all this stuff.
Yep.
Well, we're sitting there, we're watching them get it going, and they're about halfway done. They got it, half of it soaked up and all that.
Yeah. One side soaked up with soap and water.
And we see this girl on the dry side starting to size this thing up. Like, oh, I'm gonna go on this thing, and I kind of gave Kenny the elbow, and he looks over, and I'm like, bro, I think this chick's gonna run and do it right now. We all start yelling. She goes a full sprint, and dude, when I tell you, she stuck to the fucking mat, and her legs came back and kicked her in the back of the head.
She did the scorpion.
Yeah,
oh, dude, I'm telling you right now,
you said starfish.
Yeah, it was. Well, she did because she was stuck to the thing.
Right,
it was hilarious, dude.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much like a concert, but it was at the venue there for the concerts. And this girl, dude, it was hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, she stuck to it, and she got up so embarrassed. Her whole face was red. I'm pretty sure her top came off.
Yeah.
You know, and there's literally probably 500 people standing around watching her just stick to this freaking mat. It was hilarious.
Well, I just remember we were like, no, and she's all, yeah, cool, yeah, and we're like. I was just like, fuck it.
Yeah.
I was just like, whatever, do your thing.
There is truly nothing more humbling than like the level of confidence you have at somehow at a concert when you had a couple of drinks. Like that level of confidence is just higher. And I'm saying that as the guy that is usually on stage.
Yep.
Like same for us. When you're at a show and you've had a couple of drinks, your confidence has never been higher.
Oh.
That goes for everybody in the room.
For sure.
Every single person in that room is the exact same way. That girl was convinced she was about to slide her way all the way across that mat. And then she went from that to just face plant.
I don't remember seeing her the rest of the trip.
Oh, no, she went home.
Yeah.
100% she went home.
Yeah.
Also, dude, your story, that is, I love that too, because that's one of those everybody remembers where they were. Like if you're an American, everybody remembers where you were when that happened.
Yep.
I was in my story's is not as cool. I was in a Walmart parking lot with all of my friends. We also did the USA chant for about 30 minutes. But
Oh yeah.
Hey, that's that you have to.
We were a bunch of drunk kids that were doing it, and we got the cops called on us for chanting too loud. So
Oh,
my story's
yeah.
not as cool as y'all's.
Oh, don't worry. We weren't of age either. We just were able to sneak one of the bracelets from my sister who was of age, and then we were able to get our beers and whatnot. But yeah.
Cheers to that.
Oh hell yeah.
I would say probably one of my favorite cool experiences at a concert was 2 years ago here in San Luis Obispo. They have a concert. It's called Boots and Brews, and it's kind of like a accumulation of, kind of up and coming artists and different people. And headlining was Justin Moore. And the best part about this concert was I was wearing an American flag onesie.
That the fact that he said onesie is the most embarrassing part of this whole song.
It was epic, and I wore I had red baseball socks and blue baseball socks, and then American flag boots. I was all Americaned out, man. And at this concert, they had like a little tent for country line dancing, and I will say I'm quite the line dancer. I will add that.
All right.
He could dance some line.
Yeah. And just probably the best memory of this concert was my girlfriend, just putting up with people, stopping us. Hey, can we take a picture with you? Yeah, sure. But hearing Justin Moore, too, that was the first time I actually heard him live, and that was a phenomenal concert.
Oh, dude, Justin's one of the best singers in country music.
Yeah.
People sleep on Justin as a vocalist. He is truly one of the best singers in country music.
Yeah. Definitely. But that American flag onesie was
Do you still have the onesie?
I do. I've gained a little weight, so I'm not sure if I still fit in it. The quarantine 15, but
That's fair.
I could still rock it, I'm sure.
We all have the quarantine 15, so
Yeah.
no judgment there. But it would be great to see the onesie make a return.
Oh man.
Don't encourage him, dude.
If I
Don't
had
encourage him.
If I had it right now, I'd put that
Bro.
shit on.
You have no idea how many times I've tried to
Oh,
convince
boy.
him to throw that thing away. Oh,
Oh man. So you do this little segment on your Instagram. It's called Whiskey Nights. And I love it, man. I've watched it a few times. Just vibing and just playing and just doing it, man. So, kind of want to give us a taste of Whiskey Nights. Would you like to play something for us?
Little performance. That'd be
Yeah,
cool,
absolutely,
man.
Well, it just happens I got my guitar right here.
that works.
It's every musician we've interviewed or had a pod with, man. It's literally either sitting with them or just right next to them. I love it, man.
All right. All right. I know y'all had wrote and said "Habits and Hearts" and "Somebody's Summer" is like one of y'all's favorites. Y'all want to play that one? What do you
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, whatever your heart desires, man. I love almost all your songs. So
Okay, cool. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll do "Habits and Hearts" since that's like the title track to the EP. Man, I said it earlier, so I won't go back into the whole rant. But I'm so glad I got to put this song out. I never thought I was going to get to, because most of the time you don't get to put out your saddest songs or even your favorite songs.
right.
Most times your favorite songs are ones that mean something to you, that you play at the Bluebird or some writers round in Nashville that nobody's ever heard of before. So the fact that I got to release this one is really special. So, and thank you guys for loving it too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, brother.
man.
Tell you what, I'm gonna start that over real quick because that first chord was not great. Here we go.
Ease right into it.
I smoked my last cigarette at least 1,000 times. Been trying to line my left foot since I learned how to drive. That's just 2 on a mile-long list of things I can't seem to quit. And it might take my whole life, but it took one word goodbye to shatter me like glass. Just 2 fading taillights to fall apart so fast. Shouldn't be so easy to turn to pieces this thing inside my chest. It's so hard to put the whiskey down when that's what numbs the pain. I guess habits and hearts don't break the same. I still reach for you in bed every morning I wake up. When I put the coffee on, I still grab you a cup. I still say us, ours, and we. Try to shape these old routines. It takes all the strength in me. But it took one word goodbye to shatter me like glass. Just two fading taillights fall apart so fast. Shouldn't be so easy to turn to pieces this thing inside my chest. It's so hard to put the whiskey down when that's what numbs the pain. I guess habits and hearts don't break the same. One's stubborn, one's fragile. They're both in an uphill battle. One holds on tight for what feels like forever. One can barely keep itself together. It took one word goodbye to shatter me like glass. Just two fading taillights that fall apart so fast. Shouldn't be so easy to turn to pieces this thing inside my chest. It's so hard to put the whiskey down when that's what numbs the pain. I guess habits and hearts don't break the same. I guess habits and hearts don't break the same. They don't break the same.
Yeah. That was awesome.
Your first standing O.
Oh
21.
man, that was great. Hey, from that, God, from like the first part of that song, it was amazing, dude.
You can feel the emotion.
Yeah, it was great,
You
man.
definitely feel the emotion when you
Well-
play that. I love it.
Jordan, that was amazing, bro, and definitely,
That's what music's supposed to do, man. You're supposed to feel it.
absolutely.
Hell yeah.
It's supposed to hurt or it's supposed to help, you know?
Yeah.
Well,
Whiskey does both, I've heard.
bro.
Yeah, right.
Amen.
Well, bro, dude, we had the greatest time shooting the breeze, getting to know you. You're an extremely positive person, I could already tell, and I think that leads to a lot of the opportunities you've gotten because I believe in a law of attraction, and you're a very positive guy. Also, you're just a pure flatbread entertainer, man. You just, you could just tell by the way you tell your stories, you could tell you entertain, and that's amazing, man. We had a great time.
Yes.
This was awesome, man.
This was
Hey,
a blast.
This
if
was a
you're-
blast.
You're ever in the area,
Yes.
you're performing, you're driving through,
Dude.
please hit us up. We're from in Napomo, in the
Like-
middle of California. We will take you out.
Central
we'll show you
Coast,
around.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then at some point, we're going to plan to go to Nashville, and we're going to hang out
They
for
are,
sure.
Yeah, you guys are going.
All right. So
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. When you guys get to Tennessee, call me, holler at me,
Let's
whatever.
do it.
We're hanging out. Same thing when I come out to California. And I wanted to say this, man. I've done a lot of podcasts over the last, 10 months since quarantine and since the pandemic happened. This has been the most fun that I've had on one so far. Just getting to
Hey, man.
go back and forth about
Yeah.
because we do a lot of podcasts about music and all that kind of stuff, but just getting to hang with you guys and all that, like this was a blast, man. I'll do this anytime. So you guys holler at me anytime. I'd love to be back.
Hey,
Thank you guys
Absolutely,
for having
man.
me.
That's our main thing.
That
We
is-
just want it to be hanging out with the boys in the garage, talking about anything. It don't have to be one specific topic. What we would talk about if we were hanging out in the garage.
That was literally the premise from the very beginning last year that we formed our podcast around. We're like, no, we can't have it 100% sports. We just want to hang out with our boys and shoot the breeze, and that's what it was, brother. So everyone, check out Jordan Rager.
Yeah, Jordan
Dude.
Rager on Instagram, Facebook. Check out his YouTube channel, even though he doesn't want us to.
Yeah, he's just saying that.
Everybody check all the socials.
But yeah,
out.
man.
I'm just
Hell yeah.
fair warning you that you might find
Yeah.
some things eventually.
Definitely.
That
Yeah.
aren't-
And then also check out Garage Gang on our
Absolutely.
YouTube channel. It's up and coming.
Yeah,
It's not as good as Jordan's, but it's all right.
Our Facebook is popping though.
Our
on
Facebook, our
yeah.
Instagrams pop in. Check us out. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher,
Yeah, man.
Google Podcasts, all the above.
Absolutely.
Thank you for hanging out with us, Jordan. We had a blast, man. It was awesome.
Dude,
Thank
let's
you
keep
so
let's
much.
keep in touch, man. Let's do this a little bit, not too far down the road, man. It was a great time.
Anytime, dude. Let's do it for
Brother.
sure.
Hey, you have a great night, dude.
You rock,
Thanks
brother.
for
Hey,
being with us.
Thank you for staying up late and hanging out with us.
Yeah,
we
man.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Dude, I'm gonna go have another beer.
Yeah, there we go. Let's
Out
do
of
it.
it.
There it is, brother. Cheers. Cheers.
All right. Have a good one, man.
Cheers, boys. Thank y'all for having me.
Have a good night.